The NFL Draft is getting closer. And we just might know what your team will do. GameDay Garage presents The Prospect Files with Ryan Horvat.
All right, it's Wednesday, March 4th, so let's talk a little NFL. Let's talk a little NFL draft, and I'll be doing these throughout the next couple months while we prepare for the NFL draft. Now, we'll be talking a bunch about the betting markets, but right now there's not a whole lot out there. Whether you're looking at FanDuel, DraftKings, any of the books, any of the shops right now, not offering a whole lot as far as the props, except for the number one overall pick. And I think we all know who the number one overall pick is going to be for the Raiders. And that's going to be Fernando Mendoza. And that's the safe pick. That's the route that they should go. They need a franchise quarterback. They need a lot, let's be honest. And actually, that's kind of what I want to hit on, is the Raiders and are the quarterbacks here in this NFL draft. Really only two of them we're going to hit on. Now, we will go, as you see, if you're looking at the stream right now, over on the right side of my head, you'll see top quarterbacks, top running backs, top receivers, top tight ends. We will be getting to all the prospects here in the next couple of weeks. We'll go over my favorite quarterbacks, my favorite running backs, receivers, edge rushers, tackles, guards, offensive linemen, all that fun stuff. We'll get through all that. But today is just going to be a short one because I was sick and getting over a little bit of the cold, the flu, whatever the hell I had going on. So today's just going to be a short little one because I've been off the grid a little bit, obviously, here the last couple months. But I have noticed a couple takes on social media from a couple different radio hosts, social media creators, sports content creators, whatever the hell we're calling them nowadays. And I don't really pay attention to a whole lot other than for draft season, like Daniel Jeremiyah, Mel Kiper, of course, what's going on, ESPN, Pro Football Focus. There's a lot of different outlets, I think, that do a really good job covering the NFL draft, but I don't listen to a whole lot of sports talk these days, sports radio, any of the debate shows, but I've seen a couple takes that have made me a little crazy. So let's start with the quarterback position. And I like Fernando Mendoza. I really do. Does he come off a little corny? Absolutely. Oh, gee golly, well, we just gave 110%. Yeah, I mean, the post-game interviews are a little cringe, but he can make the throws. And I thought he was the perfect fit for what Cignetti and for what Indiana wanted to do on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, obviously, right? He won the Heisman. Indiana goes on to run the table, undefeated national champs. And I like Mendoza even before he got to Indiana, behind a really bad offensive line. But at Indiana, it was the perfect system. He didn't really participate. In fact, he didn't participate in the combine drills, and he doesn't have to. He's going to be the number one overall pick. There's no reason for him to go out and throw, to run the 40. He did weigh in at 236 pounds, so he's got good size. The only thing is, I love Fernando Mendoza. I don't know that he shows up, year one, like Jaden Daniels did. Let's take Jaden Daniels, for example. That wasn't a very good Commanders team. They didn't have a great offensive line, but he was a hell of an athlete. They had decent skill position players. They had Terry McLaurin, and they had Cliff Kingsbury, a play caller who 2 years ago, when Jaden was healthy as a rookie, was in his bag. So the Commanders make a run to the NFC Championship game. I saw a hot take from a couple different radio hosts that Fernando Mendoza, and I do like the kid, again, want to throw that out there because if and when he does win an MVP, Rookie of the Year, a Super Bowl here in a couple of years, I don't want people coming at me and saying, hey, you freaking hot take artist, you said this kid was going to be a bust. I don't think he's going to be a bust, but I just wouldn't be shocked if it took some time. And maybe it was a little bit of a disaster the first couple of years because, let's be honest, the Raiders, they got a lot of rebuilding to do. I know they drafted Ashton Genty, and I really like Ashton Genty. I like what he did his rookie season behind a bad offensive line. They got to fix up the offensive line. I love Brock Bowers. He's a top 3 tight end in the NFL. I like some of the skill position players, but again, they got to fix up the offensive line. They got to fix up the defense. Let's see what happens with Max Crosby. I think they should move him. I think if you're the Raiders, man, I know Max Crosby is a great player, but are the Raiders a good edge rusher away from being a Super Bowl contender? Hell no. Max Crosby's been on the team the last couple seasons. He's been a double-digit sack guy, and they can't win for shit. That's why they're picking number 1 overall. You know, I mean, last year, a lot of people liked them going into the year. They trade for Geno Smith, a move that didn't really make a whole lot of sense. They dig up the grave of Pete Carroll. It kind of reminded you of the Big Daddy scene where it's like, well, he's got a 5-year plan. What is it? Don't die. I mean, Pete Carroll, God bless his soul, he's not getting any younger. That was a disaster. It was a 1-year disaster, and now it's over. But I just think it might take Fernando Mendoza some time. And I saw some hot take artists out there saying he's going to win a Super Bowl. Maybe it isn't year 1, maybe it isn't year 2, but on his rookie deal, he's going to win a Super Bowl. He's the real deal. The kid's the real deal. He says all the right stuff. He can make all the throws. He's a decent athlete. But I wouldn't be shocked if Ty Simpson found success earlier than Fernando Mendoza. Because, again, I don't love the offensive line for the Raiders. I do like some of the skill position players, but I think it's going to take some time for them to build a culture. Meanwhile, Ty Simpson, let's see where he gets drafted. Because it's funny, the first, 8-9 weeks of the college football season, he was a Heisman candidate. I believe at one time he was one of the favorites to win Heisman. PJ Glasser and myself, we bet him in June or July before he was even named the starting quarterback, and he was 66-1 to win the Heisman. I think he closed at like 28-1, 25-1, something like that. But the first 8-9 weeks of the season, Alabama, really after week 1, they start to roll. They're beating all these top 10, top 25 teams. Ty Simpson is balling out of his mind, pushing the ball down the field. He can make all the big time throws. He's a Heisman, candidate, favorite if you're looking at the betting markets. And then they play Georgia. And then the blueprint on how to stop the Alabama offense was really out there. You had to blitz the living shit out of Ty Simpson. And that's where he struggles, right? Like Ty Simpson can push the ball down the field. Like I said, he can make all the throws. In fact, I'm looking at it right now at Pro Football Focus. They had him for 30 big-time throws. Now, the issue is, though, when he's kept clean, like most young quarterbacks, if you protect him, if you put him behind a good offensive line, a decent offensive line with a solid play caller, when kept clean, his PFF passing grade was 91.0. When he was under pressure, it dips all the way to 45.7. And if you go back and you watch that first Georgia game, they blitzed the living hell out of them. Oklahoma did the same thing. In Alabama's offensive line, like I love Proctor, but they had some issues in pass protection. But when Ty Simpson was kept clean, he could make every single throw. I know he kind of came out of nowhere. They didn't even know he was going to be the starting quarterback until August at Alabama. But man, I wouldn't be surprised if he found success earlier than Mendoza. I'm not saying he's going to be a better quarterback. I'm just saying, especially after that combine, I was really impressed with Ty Simpson. He's not the best athlete. He's not Jaden Daniels. He's not Mike Vick. He's not Vince Young, but he's a decent enough athlete. He can make the throws. And I think, again, let's say he gets drafted Pittsburgh, right? Let's say Aaron Rodgers is back for one more year, or Rodgers isn't going to be back. I mean, now the Steelers have to upgrade at the wide receiver position. Last year, they were 29th in receiving grade. So whether it's Rodgers, whether it's Will Howard, whether it's Ty Simpson, they have to upgrade. But there's some receivers that I really like. The problem is I don't think that you could take Mekhi Lemon in the first round, and I really like him. Led the FBS with a 91.4 grade, top 10 in yards per route run, missed tackles for, so he's really good with the yak. He could run all the routes. But I don't think that the Steelers, Pittsburgh, is going to go out and draft anybody like that in the first round and then still have a shot at Simpson. I think Ty Simpson's probably, a mid-round, first-round pick. But I really like him. The reason I bring this up is because everybody's hyping up Fernando Mendoza again, who I do really like. But I think people are sleeping on Ty Simpson because he had a couple shitty weeks in college against some really good pass rushes, some really good SEC defenses. Which quarterback, though? Like, which quarterback do you like under pressure? Go back a couple of years ago, Patrick Mahomes, the greatest of all time next to Tom Brady. Why does Kansas City lose in that Super Bowl to Philadelphia? It's not because Jalen Hurts was a better quarterback than Pat Mahomes. I mean, on that day he was. Jalen Hurts was excellent. That's why he was the Super Bowl MVP. But the Eagles won that Super Bowl because they pressured Mahomes on 80% of his dropbacks. Well, that's what was happening to Ty Simpson in those games against Georgia, those games against Oklahoma. Those were top 10 defenses. That was an Alabama offensive line that was shaky and pass pro. And that was a young college quarterback crapping his pants because on every single dropback, he was running for his life. So that's why towards the end of the season, also how healthy was Ty Simpson? He was dealing with an injury that not a lot of people were talking about. I think he was probably playing at like 60, 70%. Not here to make excuses for the kid. I just think he's going to be a decent NFL quarterback. So I like Ty Simpson a lot. Going back, watching the combine, watching everything I missed from over the weekend, I was really impressed. And you got to go Mendoza #1 overall if you're the Raiders. That's the safe pick. That's the good PR move. Like I said, he's a little corny, but he says all the right things. I think it would be hilarious if Mendoza, like behind the scenes, was just a total asshole, like a total jerk, like gets off the mic. I just want to thank the Lord. This team, we all just do our 111th. And then he just gets off the mic and he just rips a cigarette, pours himself a double shot of Jack. I don't think that's the case, but he's the safe pick, man. He's going to be the #1 overall pick. There's no reason to bet it. You can't bet it unless you're a millionaire. You're not going to make any profit off of that. So not a whole lot that you could do in the betting markets with the quarterback position. So I like Ty Simpson, and I won't be surprised if he turns out to be a better quarterback, at least early on, if he's drafted into the right situation. Take a guy like, Ty Simpson, if I had to do a comp, why can't he be Jared Goff? Why can't he be Kirk Cousins? Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins, shit, when they're playing behind really good offensive lines and they have really good play callers like a Kevin O'Connell or like a Ben Johnson, those are top 10 quarterbacks. Those are Pro Bowl quarterbacks. Their names sometimes are in the MVP conversations because of the statistics. If Ty Simpson has really good wide receivers, a solid play caller, and a really good offensive line, I'm saying he could be Kirk Cousins. He could be Jared Goff. Now, if he's drafted into a crappy situation, let's say the New York Jets, and he's running for his life, throwing go routes, go balls to Allen Lazard, he's fucked. He's screwed. He's going to be a bust. But it's like Jack Nicholson says in the movie The Departed, you are a product of your environment. And yeah, there's some quarterbacks that are just no good. Jamarcus Russell didn't put in the work, didn't watch the film. Still a great story, hilarious story. Talent was there, but was just a complete bust. I also think that there were a lot of guys that never really got a fair shake. Like, why is Sam Darnold all of a sudden a Super Bowl winning quarterback? Right? Because he's in the right system. He wasn't in the right system with the Jets, with Adam Gase calling plays behind a dog shit offensive line, throwing to guys that probably should be #3 or #4s that are acting like #1 wide receivers. So I think in the right system, Ty Simpson is going to be a good NFL quarterback. I really do. And I need a hot take, right? That's what I was talking about. Everybody has the hot take. The take, Mendoza is going to fix the Raiders. Tom Brady got his guy. The Raiders are a quarterback away. Who the fuck watched the Raiders last year and could tell me that they're a quarterback away? Just like I was saying, they're not an edge rusher away. I would trade away Crosby and I would get all the first-round picks. If I could get 2 first-round picks, I'm doing that right now. You are probably 10 to 11 holes away from being a contender, even if Mendoza is a hit, even if Genti ends up being a hit, and Bowers could actually stay healthy for an entire season again. But we'll see how it goes down. The other guy, Garrett Nussmeier, I really liked him 2 years ago at LSU. Now, there's a guy that really struggles under pressure, and I also didn't really love some of the mechanics when he was kept clean. Kind of out on Nussmeier, obviously. I think the draft board's out on Nussmeier. I don't have any idea where he's going to end up. We'll get into the quarterbacks next week, but again, there's my hot take for you guys. I think Ty Simpson is going to find some early success if drafted in the right system, and I think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. Running backs. Just one really quick hot take that I have to get to. I saw somebody with the take that I forgot which team it was. Let's say it was the Kansas City Chiefs, because the Kansas City Chiefs have some needs. Mahomes is going to be coming back from a torn ACL, which is there anybody else out there that feels like that has kind of been undercovered? Like that story has kind of been like why aren't we talking more about when the fuck is Patrick Mahomes coming back from a torn ACL? Also, I don't know if I'm supposed to be swearing this much on this podcast, so I'm probably going to cool that. We got to get one of those like not safe for work things here. But I haven't done a broadcast in a couple weeks, so I'm all fired up, and I've seen some really bad takes. Now, I'm not saying this is the worst take ever, but I saw somebody with this take. Okay, so again, we don't know when Mahomes is coming back. Travis Kelce is a shell of himself. Even that Kansas City Chiefs defense, which has been so damn good. You know, we forget about that here the last couple of years. Those Super Bowl runs, this mini dynasty. Steve Spagnuolo is a defensive genius. Chris Jones has been a stud, but all those guys, a lot of those guys are getting older. And the defense was not very good last year. The offensive line was piss poor. So the Chiefs do have some obvious needs up front if they want to protect Pat Mahomes or Gardner Minshew or whoever the hell starting the season behind center. But they need some explosive playmakers, man. It's been a long time since Tyreek Hill laced them up for the Chiefs. And Rashee Rice, he's spiraling off this planet. You don't bring back Tyreek Hill. He's spiraling off this planet. Like I said, Kelsey's a shell of himself. I like Worthy and some of these other gadget guys, but they need a home run hitter. They need a playmaker. And I saw somebody with the take that if you're an organization, let's say the Kansas City Chiefs, and you need a running back, that you should go out and pick up Kenneth Walker, who I love. And we'll see what ends up happening with him in Seattle if they're not going to franchise tag him. I love Kenneth Walker, but he's not getting any younger. And even if you have to use top 5, top 10 draft capital on a running back, which I know was a big no-no years ago, Bijan Robinson stud, Jahmyr Gibbs stud, Jeremiyah Love, absolute stud, my favorite player in this draft. Now, am I a Notre Dame fan and homer? Absolutely. I was also making the case, though, that they shouldn't have been in the playoff with those 2 losses. You lose to A&M, you lose to Miami, you shouldn't be in the playoff. So I'm not just like, huge homer here. Jeremiyah Love is an absolute stud. In fact, he was top 6 in the FBS in yards after contact and explosive runs. Why that's important? The Chiefs were 31st in yards after contact, and they were 31st in explosive runs. Again, Jeremiyah Love, top 6 in both of those categories. After contact, he's breaking tackles. He's a home run hitter. He can take one 65, 70 yards to the house, and that's what the Chiefs need, especially with Mahomes coming back from a knee injury. Now, if they go with a tackle or a guard, defensive help, I'm not going to rip the organization. I'm not going to call them dipshits crazy for not going with a running back in the first round. But I will call a team crazy if they spend money on Kenneth Walker coming off a Super Bowl run, giving him money, right? And I know it's worked out for some of these running backs, and I know Adrian Peterson was a stud until he was 31, 32 years old. And I like Kenneth Walker. And I hope, even if it's not in Seattle, wherever he goes, I hope he finds success. What a year. But I want Jeremiyah Love. I want the cheaper, even if I'm paying him top 10 draft capital, I want the cheaper, younger, more explosive, better running back. That's a terrible take. You never spend money in free agency on a 26, 27-year-old running back when you could have a 23, 24-year-old. Like, go on YouTube. Do whatever you got to do to watch Jeremiyah Love. He's out there leaping over people. He is the best player in this draft, not named Ruben Bain. And we'll end it there because I don't really want to, hit on all the defensive players today. I like Bailey. I like all these guys, but I've been talking about Ruben Bain Jr. since week 1 of last college football season. He's top 5 as a run stopper, and he's a top 10, top 5 edge rusher. He is the real deal. If you look at some of the nerd stats, 83 total pressures. That led the nation. 83 total pressures. And I know that he had some help up front. They had a really talented defensive line, top 5 in the country at Miami, which is why they were playing for a national title against Indiana and kept that game close. But he had a 92.4 pass rush grade against the run, 86.2. I know the Jets never get it right. I know they do need a quarterback, but you can't go Ty Simpson, I don't think, that early. You got to go with Ruben Bain Jr. You traded away Quinnen Williams. You traded away Sauce Gardner. Good move, by the way, moving him and getting what you could. But you got to fix up that defense. And Aaron Glenn, I don't think he's a very good head coach. I don't think he should be a head coach, but he's a defensive-minded head coach. Go get your stud, and that's Ruben Bain Jr. Those are my 2 favorite players in this draft, though. Ruben Bain, top 5 edge rusher, top 5 against the run. That means he doesn't have to leave the field. If you like Crosby for the Raiders, you're going to love Ruben Bain. it's not like you have to take him off the field against the run. He could play all 3 downs. So I really like him, and I really love Jeremiah Love. You see what I did there? So no, don't go out and spend money on Kenneth Walker. Go out if you need a running back. I don't care if it's a top 10 pick. You take Jeremiah Love. He is going to be an all-pro as long as he stays healthy. I think there's a good chance that even by next year, he's the best running back in the league. High praise. There's a hot take for you. I don't know that Fernando Mendoza is winning a Super Bowl in the first 2 years, but I do know that Jeremiah Love will eventually, within the next 2 to 3 years, be the best running back in the league. There's a hot take. If you're the Chiefs and you don't go offensive line, I think you'd be crazy not to get Mahomes some help. And of course, they could use another receiver, but they'll find somebody in the later rounds. And I do like some of the value in the later rounds. We'll get into that in the next episode. We'll hit on some of these, top quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and tight end skill position players. But those were the things I wanted to hit on today. I think we're sleeping on Ty Simpson. He's my second favorite quarterback in this class. I think there's a chance he's better than Mendoza, especially if he's drafted into the right situation. Jeremiah Love, don't overthink it. He's a first round, top 10 pick. He might be the best player in this draft, not named Ruben Bain. And I like Bailey. I like all these edge rushers, right? I haven't even brought up Reese yet from Ohio State. There's a good chance he's probably going to be the number 2 overall pick. He might go over Bain. He might go over Sonny Styles. He might go over, trying to think, Caleb Banks, Caleb Downs, David Bailey. I really like David Bailey. 4.5, 40-yard dash. He runs at 251 pounds. Finished last year as the highest graded edge defender in all of college football, had a 93.3. Top 10 pass rush win rate, 38.8%. That's top 10 in the Power 4. So I do really like David Bailey. He was one of the reasons why Texas Tech was a double-digit win team, even if they did cost me money in the playoff. I love Ruben Bain. I know the knock on him right now is the short arms. And I know he's not an offensive lineman, but that was the knock on Will Campbell last year. And then Will Campbell really had some struggles the second half of the season. Bain's arms, sub 31 inches. But again, pop on the tape, man. 83 pressures, most in college football. Really good against the run. Don't overthink it. And then the guy that's going to fly up the boards, and we'll see if he actually goes number 2 overall, because it looks like the Jets do have some interest, is Reese out of Ohio State. And it's because he's an absolute stud. I kind of figured that this was going to happen after the combine. He ran a 4.46 40. Like I said, the Jets did trade Jermaine Johnson for Sweat. So they could use another edge rusher, but I would go Bain over Reese. But right now, Reese is the genetic freak. Bain had the shorter arms. So we'll see how that all goes down. But Bain's definitely one of my top 3 players in this draft. We'll wrap it up there for today. We'll be back this week talking about top quarterbacks, top running backs, top wide receivers, top tight ends, all Horvat team. And then eventually, hint, hint, draft markets, sports books. We'll get to some bets and try to make some money on this NFL draft. That'll wrap it up today for the Prospect Files. Ryan Horvat here with Game Day Garage.